4 players who are making surprising buzz in spring practice so far in the Big Ten. Now, we have some players being quoted about, being talked about, some different places like ESPN was saying, sourcing on some of these guys with stuff like that. And these players are guys that maybe would surprise some people. One of them I don't think will surprise many, of those who listen to this podcast, because we have talked about him numerous times. But the one that stands out as one of the first names I saw, the first names that was very, very interesting to me, was DeSean Watts. DeSean Watts at Washington. He's an interior defensive lineman from Sacramento State University. DeSean, here's a quote from Matt Doherty, the senior director of player personnel, said DeSean is a player who immediately ratchets up the ruggedness, the power, and the physicality of our interior defensive line. His toughness and his motor are evident on every snap, and he's one of the strongest tacklers among all the interior defenders we evaluated this past cycle. He has the kind of line of scrimmage stopping power that is critical to truly competing in this league. End quote there. DeSean Watts, 6'2", 318 pounds. He is definitely a plug and play type of guy that is going to be a critical starter at Washington. Sometimes you see guys come in from Sacramento State, the FCS, whatever it might be, and say, are they really going to come in and be, a contributor right away? You could see, a safety like last season coming in or something like that. But an interior defensive lineman, generally people would say, but he has the size. He's 6'2", 318. He has the size. There are some depth needs on this interior of the defensive line. So, I don't think there's a whole lot that's going to, stop DeSean Watts here, but that's what's best about some of this buzz that's coming out right here. It's unlike that there will be any other transfers or anything like that. You saw Illinois pick up a safety transfer from Northern Illinois, but there's no transfer portal being open or anything like that. So Watts is fully healthy. He's unrestricted, giving him an edge in the competition for reps. And he's a compact dude. He's got an explosive first step and a quick twitch of athleticism that makes me wonder how he ever even got to Sacramento State. How did he spend that much time there? I mean, not that much time there. He spent 1 season at Sacramento State and make it sound like he's a senior or something like that. But he spent 1 season at Sacramento State. They saw what they needed to see after 1 year. They're moving him up in his second year, and he's going to be huge for Washington in their run defense this season. In 2025 on PFF, his biggest grade was his rush defense at 91.4, which is huge. His disruption, his explosive first step. He's the type of guy that's going to force double teams and create one-on-ones, which should free up the other edge rushers and give the entire defensive line a whole lot of opportunities. So great news here for DeSean Watts coming out of spring practice, and we'll definitely continue to monitor him. All right, the next one is at Maryland. Amari Jackson, the Boston College transfer, who's struggled with injuries and things like that in his career. He's only played 1 full season of college football. That was back in 2023, his sophomore season. And since then, he did not play a full season his junior year, and he played only 4 games, as you can see here, in his senior year. But because he only played 4 games, he was able to get a red shirt. He comes back and he's able to be a contributor for this Maryland team if he can stay healthy. I think Amari Jackson has a good opportunity to be a contributor here, and Mike Locksley had some things to say about him as well. Quote, Amari has a wealth of playing experience against power conference competition, and he'll be a leader to many of our younger players. He's a dedicated worker on and off the field, consistently setting the standard with his preparation and effort. We expect him to bring a competitive edge to our defensive back room and elevate those around him, end quote there. This addresses a critical need for this Maryland team that needs their secondary to be better, who rank near the bottom of the Big Ten in passing yards allowed. Now, of course, Maryland was able to get a lot of turnovers last year, and that was helpful for them. But, in terms of consistently not allowing teams to move down the field, that was not what they were known for. He does have an NFL type of caliber talent. I don't think he's going in the first round next season or anything like that, but we have seen flashes of some NFL upside with him, and he is reuniting with his former coach, Azara Abdul Rahim, facilitating a faster transition into the defensive scheme for him to come with him, which is obviously huge and making that happen. Started 13 games in 2023, recorded 39 tackles and a pick six in that one, but he has not played a full season since. Remains a productive despite his ACL and the injury there. That set him back in 2024 and 2025. 28 tackles, 9 pass breakups in his limited action, and he's got a 66.6 PFF grade on this last season. He had a 68.5 the season before. So he's going to make an immediate impact for this team. He's going to be a leader for this team. And it sounds like Mike Locksley has a good situation here with him. Our next one, Rutgers fans rejoice because it's a defensive lineman for Rutgers. Okay, an edge, but still a defensive lineman for Rutgers. The Toledo transfer, Malachi Davis. Now, I know what you're thinking. Listen, hey, we had Eric O'Neill last year. That didn't work out from Ohio. We had this guy. Okay. I do think Malachi Davis could be different for this team, and I do think that the defensive coaching for this team is going to be different. Obviously it's going to be different. It's not the same coach. You have Travis Johansson now, but I think that you're going to have a much better implementation into this defense for him, and Rutgers could be very excited about that. And Eric Josephs, the assistant GM and director of player personnel, he's excited too. His quote about Malachi Joseph was, quote, "We are excited to have Malachi in the program. He is a culture fit who will be a disruptive player versus the run and a game changer in the pass rushing as well. We think he's a potential game changer as a position of need. At a position of need, he was a big get for us in the portal," end quote there. And I agree. I think Malachi Davis has a whole lot of upside to his game. The run defense leaves a little bit to be desired, only a 67.1 PFF grade on that in the MAC. So there is a little bit of concern there. I'm not on the same page with Eric Josephs there a little bit, but an 86.8 pass rushing grade. And that was what you needed a lot last season, was you needed more pressure on the quarterbacks, which you needed 2 seasons ago as well. Sure, the run defense and stuff like that could have helped too, but the linebackers and the interior defensive linemen probably would have impacted and helped out with that a little bit more. In this situation, this defense was a major weakness for the team last year. One of the worst defenses in the country, one of the worst Big Ten defenses statistically of all time. But under new defensive coordinator Travis Johansson, he's inherited a unit that finished second to last in the Big Ten in sacks, but a unit that is hungry, and a head coach in Greg Schiano that will push him and their team to the highest level possible. In this team, I think you're going to expect him to be your number 1 or number 2 pass rusher on this team. He's going to have an immediate starting job and serve as the team's most likely primary pass rushing threat. He possesses an explosive first step, very good hands. He really uses his hands very well, doesn't just rely on his step, uses his hands very well, and a professional understanding of leverage and rush angles too. He has a lot of versatility to him. He's capable of playing from a 3-point stance at a stand-up rusher or move inside and kind of like third down and long situation where he's going to be rushing the passer. I think he has a lot of potential in his 1 year that he has left. As you can see here, he's played 3 seasons. He might be able to get that 2023 season. He might be able to get a red shirt. No, he had a red shirt from 2022, so I apologize. So he's already got his red shirt there. We'll see what Malachi Davis looks like for Rutgers, but it's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to see what he can do. All right, last one here for UCLA. And like I said, if you've been listening to this show, and of course you have, it's the middle of the offseason and you're listening right now. So you've obviously listened to this show quite a bit. Sahir West, the James Madison transfer, came with Bob Chesney to UCLA, had a big time offer from Ohio State to possibly go there. Ohio State wanted Sahir West, but West decided to go to UCLA. And it's very interesting with UCLA right now because on FanDuel, their win total has actually moved from 6.5 when it first opened to now 5.5. Now you've got the over on this juiced at minus 144. The under is at plus 118. But still, to see that move down right as spring practice is opening for UCLA, we'll see what happens. But Bob Chesney, he's obviously very confident in his team. He's obviously very confident in Sahir West. His quote about West is Sahir is just a very productive football player. We watched his work at James Madison, and he just keeps getting better and better. He is the complete package right now. Right now for us, he stops the run and is also able to be a threat in the passing game. His motor doesn't stop, and we know he's going to play this relentless style of ball. Sahir is the definition of what we want on the defensive line. And he doesn't have like one of the highest pass rushing grades ever, like Malachi Davis did with his high pass rushing grade, but he has a very even grades here: 76.8% rushing, good tackling at 80.3, and then pass rushing 78.4 grade on PFF. That's good stuff, right? Transfers from James Madison. James Madison made the playoffs last season. He went to UCLA over Ohio State. I think Texas A&M may have been in on him as well. So those are two programs, one with a whole lot of potential for what you can do there on the field, another with a whole lot of potential of how much you can make financially with Texas A&M. But he's going to fill a void for this UCLA team that was second last in the Big Ten in sacks. Or Rutgers was second last. UCLA, they were last in 2025 with only 10 sacks. Good amount of roster turnover, obviously, when you bring in a new coach, but he has proven production. 34 quarterback pressures in 2025, double amount of any UCLA player last year. I think he's going to be the number one edge rusher for this team. I expect him to create double-digit negative plays at sacks and tackles for loss, and I anticipate him to be a cornerstone of Chesney's defensive turnaround at this program. So there you go. There are 4 players that I think are going to, that are getting some strong buzz right now for what's going on at these Big Ten programs: Washington, Maryland, Rutgers, UCLA. Appreciate you listening and watching to this episode. Please comment and let me know what your thoughts are. Not this episode, this segment. Let me know what your thoughts are on these 4 players. And if there's anybody else, maybe from another team, that you would like for me to cover and talk about, would appreciate that as well.